All right, hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. We've got an outstanding speaker today. We've got Mike Mower, and we've got a couple announcements first. Kaylee, would you like to go?
Yes. So if you see these little flyers on the table near you, they're for club tonight. We have our opening social at 5:30. We're going to play some games. There's going to be snacks. And if you want notifications, there's a QR code that you can fill out, and then we'll send you the emails and the GroupMe. I don't know why I can't remember GroupMe, but it's super easy. So come tonight to that, and then also we have opportunity quests. And if you have questions about that, I'll be out at the table right after class. You can ask me about either club or opportunity quest. That's it for me.
How much money have you won from Opportunity Quest?
I have won over $500, probably even more, probably closer to $1,000 in all the competitions. So.
Right on.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Raquel?
I have one more spot for lunch today, so if you are interested in going, whoever comes to me first gets the spot. Also, if you do want to go to lunch, please fill out this QR code, and then I can know which speakers you want to go to, technology, all of that kind of stuff.
Right on, thank you. All right, so our guest today is Mike Mower. And I want to say this. So we have quite a few outstanding, competent people on campus. What is rare is to be outstanding, competent, and super cool. And Mike is unofficially, he's the coolest guy on campus.
This is all being recorded.
It's true. I've taken informal polls. So that's not first and foremost the reason that he was invited here. I invited him here because he is outstandingly entrepreneurial. And I know this because I've watched the program that he runs, the aviation program, go from obscure and in trouble to being not just a nationwide leader, but the standard bearer for aviation education worldwide. And I'm not exaggerating.
That's awfully nice.
So we are very pleased to have Mike with us. He was in the Air Force. He has a degree from SUU. He is a deputy sheriff, and he's currently the executive director and chief instructor for SUU Aviation. Please welcome Mike Mower.
Yay! Thanks, Tyler. So first, I'm very humbled to have even been asked to come here and chat with everybody. And thanks for taking your time to come and listen to me ramble on. So the agenda up here, we've got a lot of slides, got a lot of stuff to go through. Hopefully it's going to be interesting. Hopefully it'll be informative for you as well. But there's going to be a little bit about me. There's going to be questions and prizes. I've got a lot of swag down here. I got shirts, I got hoodies, I got stuff. So best questions. Hopefully this is going to be interactive, and it's not going to be me just up here doing this for 50 minutes. And then there's some just general knowledge questions. So I initially had all the questions on one slide, and I figured that since this is kind of the entrepreneur class, that you guys would be quick and start Googling the last question so you had them right. So I split the slides out. We're going to cover entrepreneur stuff and then aviation stuff, and that's going to be the time we have. So please ask questions. And if I don't explain something, raise your hand, say something, and I'll get it squared away. All right, Vanna. Perfect. All right, so, and one thing I want to point out, all of these pictures that you're going to see, these were all either taken by us. We have our own internal marketing department. Robbie Paul, one of our first graduates of SUU Aviation, came through Tyler's class and went on to rise up through the ranks within the aviation department, and now he's our director of marketing and assistant chief pilot. So good job, Tyler. Picked him, did good stuff. But anyway, he runs the marketing. We do all of our own photography, our videography. Who's all following us on YouTube and Instagram? It should be everybody. We do some cool stuff. There's giveaways. We have a current giveaway, don't we?
It's within the rotor industry. We just gave away a free intro flight in a helicopter or airplane on social media.
Free flight in a helicopter just for following us. Pretty awesome. But anyway, we take a lot of cool stuff. So all the pictures are by us. Anyway, I get to be the head cheerleader for what is really the greatest aviation, the collegiate aviation program ever assembled. And we're going to talk about why that statement is not false. An amazing, amazing group of people that work out at the airport and here on campus. Before coming here, who even knew that SUU had an aviation program? Okay. We try to be loud enough so everybody knows. Get to lead the most advanced and cutting edge program. I lead all lobbying efforts in Washington, D.C. as well, and I'll talk more about that here in a little bit. I'm on the HAI training committee. So HAI is the national, it's Helicopter Association International is what it stands for. And several of us within the organization are in different components of that, but I'm on the training committee. And co-chair of the Utah Rotor Pathway Program, first ever of its kind in the country. And we actually have 2 other states that are looking to replicate what we have done. Some of that's through our lobbying efforts in DC, but the rest of it's just because we're so awesome and people want to copy the awesome folks, right? And as Tyler said, Air Force veteran. Any Air Force folks in here? You were shaking your head when you did that. All right. Okay. We actually didn't take this picture. This is the only one that we didn't take. So I love to mountain bike. And my wife, 2 weeks ago, we were down at Bear Claw Poppy. Anybody done that? Okay. And we're going off these pretty steep drop-offs. And so her comment was that she was nervous. She said, I can't get to that next level. I don't know what I need to do. How do I get better? I said, well, the first thing you have to do is understand the risks and just accept that at some point you're going to crash. And as long as you can accept that, you can get better. There's no difference between that statement and what everybody in here wants to go do. Start a business, run a business, develop something. Accept that at some point stuff's going to go sideways. And if you can accept that, it's almost as if fear just leaves you. It's going to happen. Run with it, okay? If you aren't willing to accept those risks, find something else. Go work for somebody. Don't run it yourself. If you can't accept the risk, do something different. Just, as you can see right here, me accepting those risks, I've gone through 3 helmets, cut my Achilles, and I've got a really cool scar that's now covered by a tattoo that had to have emergency surgery and pull weeds and sticks out of my elbow. Mitigate the risks, right? In mountain biking, you're going to wear a helmet, you're going to wear pads, you're going to do all that stuff. In business, become an expert in what you do, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit too. Be very familiar with your regulatory environment. That's how you're going to mitigate risks, okay? Learn from your mistakes and get better. And then the last one, enjoy the ride. I'll tell you, running SUU Aviation and assembling this team, it's not a job. I get to fly. I get to teach people how to fly. I flew through Zion National Park this morning at 7 a.m., just as the sun was coming up. Seeing Zion covered in snow, doesn't happen very often, it was awesome. That's what I got to do. That's how my day started. Okay. All right. Did anybody know that we can do this in SUU Aviation? There's more on that too. Okay. What makes a good entrepreneur? And I got to tell you, no matter how many times I've typed that out, I still cannot spell it right the first time. It's tough. Shout some stuff out. What makes a good entrepreneur? Determination. Excellent.
Taking advantage of opportunities.
Recognizing the opportunity too, right? If you don't know that an opportunity is presenting itself, you're going to miss it, and you can't even take advantage of it. Okay?
Vision.
Good. And being able to share that vision with other people. That's good. I think you get a bonus point for that.
Action.
Okay? Yep. If you don't have the if you don't recognize or if you recognize the opportunity and don't do anything with it, well, you've lost that opportunity as well. Yeah.
Learning from others.
That is really important. Let other people make the mistakes and learn from them, right? Never somebody back here.
Building connections.
Yep, and I cover that as well in here. Very important. Okay? So good. So that's what makes a good entrepreneur, according to me. So I'm sure there's books out there that say something different, but. All right. This is one of my favorite shots. As we were bringing one of our fixed wing back from Minnesota, we got to fly past Mount Rushmore. And when I was building this slide deck, I came across this picture, and I'm like, oh, this qualities of an entrepreneur, perfect. We got 4 amazing entrepreneurs on this mountain right here. Okay? And I understand there's some crazy politics behind what's currently going on with this, but amazing men, they've done amazing things, and they should be recognized for that. But some of these qualities, comfortable being uncomfortable. I still don't get a lot of sleep at night, right? Just be aware that as you venture out, you're going to be stressed. You're going to be stressed about the regulatory environment. You're going to be stressed about inspections. You're going to be stressed about your employees, family life, that work-life separation. How do you do that? That's a trick right there. Okay, accepting of risk, we talked about. Dedicated, yeah. This is something you can't do halfway. If you do it halfway, you'll fail. Commit all the way, do it all the way. Decisive, make a decision, go with it. Sometimes a lot of organizations and a lot of people will not be successful simply because they couldn't make a decision. I'm going to be rich because my next business venture is going to be a restaurant called I Don't Know. Right? So I asked my wife, where do you go for dinner? I don't know. Excellent. I know where we're going. I can't take full credit. That was a meme somewhere. Creative. Some of the things you're going to be faced with are not going to have clear paths. You've got to navigate through that stuff. Okay? Confident. Fake it. If you're not a confident person, seriously, fake it. I don't know if that's in any books, Tyler, but but anyway, you'll be surprised at what that'll get you. You can be wrong, but as long as you're confident in your wrongness, you might be able to fool the other person, and they might assist you, they might give you business, they might do whatever. Now, don't be deceptive, but yeah, so confident. Persuasive, somebody shouted that out a little while ago. You have to be able to sell what you're doing, whether it's a consulting service, whether it's a hamburger, anything, right? You've got to be able to talk to people about getting what you need for your organization, your business. The need to achieve, again, going back to that, you can't do this halfway. You have to have that desire to move forward. And then your ability to convey the vision to others, and that was touched on over here as well. So, okay, any questions on any of this stuff? All right. If you listen closely, sometimes I just keep talking and I'll actually give away the answers to these. So if you guys get these answers right, there's stuff up here for you. Like I said, we've got sweatshirts and hats and all sorts of other stuff. Now, since this is an entrepreneur class, I'm actually tricking you into wearing and being advertisements for me as you walk around campus. See how that works? Okay. All right. What year did SUU Aviation start? No aviation folks. All right. 2016. So that's when the university took the program over. 2013. You know what? What if we just give them the sticky and then they can come up afterwards and pick? Let's do that. 2013 we started. And Ryan and Rich Cannon, who's not in here, were 2 of the original instructors that came down with me. And when we're talking about entrepreneurial spirit, we had the opportunity to start SUU Aviation, and we all moved down from Salt Lake. And I asked Ryan, I asked Rich, and 8 other instructors. We started with just 10 instructors to move 300 miles, sell their house, do all this stuff, come down here. Talk about taking a leap. There was no established program. Moving into a collegiate environment, getting new FAA regulations and approvals set up, getting all of the accreditation stuff set up, all these different things. Holy crap. That was a jump off a cliff. And I've got 2 of my original instructors left with me, and both of them have risen all the way to the top. So good job, Robbie. Or Ryan. Robbie's over here. First graduate. Yeah, Robbie. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right. So I'm often asked, or I ask people in interviews, what's your greatest fear? And people always say, well, it's fear of failure. Yeah, I see a lot of this as confusion with fear of failure versus fear of learning, right? Failure's cake. Well, screwed up. I'm just going to quit. All of that stress is gone. Once you quit, stress goes away. Are you willing to stick through it and learn? Learning is tough. It's painful. You're going to shed tears. It is really hard. So don't confuse fear of failure with fear of learning. And one of the things that I'm really proud of, everybody that's part of the team out at SUU Aviation, whether they know it or not, they have fully embraced that. And it is really important. That's one of the big reasons why we've moved forward and done what we've done. Okay, again, failure only occurs when you give up, and you have to see everything else as a learning opportunity. Figure out why you made the mistake. What are you going to do to fix it? Okay? Do not let pride get in the way of learning. This is something that a lot of other aviation organizations have run into. I don't have to learn because I know everything. Well, what we have done in the last 7 years, I can prove those people wrong. They have not learned everything. We have not learned anything or everything. And because we're not letting pride get in the way, creativity's there. We can expand our minds. We can expand our thoughts. We can do a lot of great things simply because we do not let pride sink in. All right? And going back to that whole mountain biking thing, accept that adversity is going to come your way. But if you're going into business, if you're starting something, whatever, commit to doing something about it. You don't even know what it is yet. Commit to doing something about it when it comes your way. If you're not committed before you start, don't start. Because you're just going to go through a lot of heartache, and you're going to get back to that failure point because it's going to be too difficult because you're not in it. You're not in it all the way. Okay. I didn't tell you I was going to get a little biblical in this, but here it is. So I'll explain that here in a second. Okay, so pride can be the enemy of learning. It has its place, but be very careful about it, right? I'm proud of what our team has done. Amazing things. First time ever some of these things have taken place. And I'm really proud of what they've done. But don't let it go to your head. And this kind of comes down to Proverbs 27:21. The finding pot for silver and the furnace for gold, so is a man to his praise. What does that mean? Anything? Anything? Any religious scholars in here? All right. So there's a more plain English version of this, but I tried to go with what was actually written. So you test silver and you test gold by heating them up. Test their purity. Okay? You give somebody praise or fame, what does it do to them? Get on Instagram, get on Facebook right now. Look at these people that have been given praise and fame. What have they done with it? A lot of times, the moment you start giving people, once they become famous, man, they're wonderful people until they get there. And they just tank. So, as you go out and you become successful, you get a group of people to follow you, you do all these things, don't let that ruin you, right? I can't quote a lot of things from the Bible, but this one's good. So, be careful. Just be very careful of what happens when you do become successful. And this is a fun little picture here too, so might be easier on this side. So my boss, Marvin Dodge, sits right in this office. And we flew this helicopter in, and everybody knows where this is at, right? Upper quad. We came in between two light poles, and we scooted back up against the planter that was right here. And just as we're getting close to the planter, I look up, and Marvin Dodge is looking out his window right there, and his eyes are about this big. Now, he knew we were coming in. I don't think he had any idea of what it was going to look like to land a big helicopter next to a planter below his office. So it was pretty awesome. Good stuff. All right. I think we're doing good still on time, right? Okay. All right, what's next? All right. So, and I've got some stories about this, but mistakes are going to happen. Your employees are going to mess up. It's just what it is. Don't let that mistake walk out the door if you can help it, okay? Mistakes, of course, are learning opportunities. Develop policies and procedures to keep them from happening again, right? You don't want to keep making the same mistake. That stuff's expensive. If it is not a blatant disregard or malicious in nature, forgive people when they make mistakes. That's just a good human thing to do anyway. Forgive folks. Relieve yourself of that burden. Don't carry it along with you. But if you forgive them of their mistakes and consider keeping them, that lesson that was learned, sometimes a very expensive lesson, doesn't walk out the door. And that employee that you saved didn't terminate because they lit the grill on fire, or I don't know what else. I'm drawing a blank here. They won't make that mistake again. And they're going to tell other employees that you have, hey, don't be stupid. Don't do that again. Now, we have a policy that unless it's blatant or malicious, we don't terminate people for breaking very, very expensive stuff. We're in a training environment. We understand that. We've embraced it. Our insurance reflects that. You'd be amazed at how much insurance costs for aircraft. But when we have an overspeed, for instance, somebody runs a helicopter engine and or rotor beyond what their limits are for, we can be looking at $50,000 to $100,000 for a repair. We don't terminate people for that. Because one, that instructor is probably not going to make that mistake again. And they become an in-house rep to tell everybody else, hey, look, I was in this situation, this happened to me, I broke something, but I saved, my job's still here, right? So it also creates transparency. What you do not want is people to hide their mistakes. And if your environment is punitive in nature, if your organization is run on fear, you will not know half of what your employees are doing. But if it's open and it's forgiving, they will come to you. And you can take advantage of it. We had an instructor and a student in one of our fixed wing just last week, right? The Citabria was last week. Stood on the brakes just a little too hard right as the aircraft was coming to a halt. Well, the nose went down, the prop hit the runway, destroyed the prop, and anytime you get a sudden stoppage on an aircraft engine, the engine's toast. $50,000, and it took 2 seconds to happen. The instructor's still with us, right? Now it's the instructor's fault. That's the way the FAA sees it, because the student pilot's just there to learn. But I can tell you right now, that mistake's not going to happen again, because that instructor learned, and he's gone and told everybody else what not to do, okay? So really, really consider this, okay? All right. All right, this is a big one. You have to know your market, whether you're going into aviation, whether you're going into hamburgers, whether you're going into consulting, it doesn't matter. If you're going to put your time, your money, your life, your employees' lives, your employees' well-being, all these other things, you better be an expert in your market. Just don't, there's no way to shortcut it either. You've got to put the time in, you got to study, you got to do all this stuff, okay? If you know your market, you're going to be able to answer that next one. Are you unique? Okay? Say you're going into hamburgers. You have a lot of competition. You're going to struggle unless your hamburger is unique. We, as SUU Aviation, we're going into a fairly crowded market. And in relation to some of these other collegiate programs that have been around forever, you know, University of North Dakota, we were tiny, tiny. We focused on everything that made us unique. And Robbie and his team have made sure to broadcast that everywhere. And I don't know if it's one of the questions. If it's a question, I just gave it up. But and we have become the largest collegiate helicopter program in the country because we are unique and because we focused on what makes us unique. If you are not unique, you spend some time on figuring out how you can be. Okay? Invest that time. Okay. There you go. Become a regulatory expert. If being unique means you're going to have to change some rules, change some rules. Back before the pandemic, so really all of 20, we were in Washington, D.C. probably about every other month. There for a couple days each time. Writing legislation, changing legislation, fighting bad legislation. And whether you know it or not, and we're focused mainly on aviation-related stuff, but our latest venture is working on the Higher Education Act and student loans. It doesn't have a thing to do with aviation. But everybody in here is paying tuition. Everybody in here wants better loan rates, percentages, all these other things. That's your aviation department in DC doing this stuff. Okay? So, when I'm talking about rules and regs, it doesn't have to be on a federal level. Know your state, know your local regulations. Can you work within them? And if you can't, if it's going to prohibit your being creative and being unique and gaining a foothold in that market, don't accept it. Accepting it's dumb. Do something to change it. You'd be surprised at how many of these rules and regulations were written by people that had no clue what they were writing. And nobody has stood up to them. Some of this stuff is just a matter of you walking in, getting some sort of referendum, getting it passed through city council, and it's changed to your benefit. You gain that edge in the marketplace now. This last one, if you don't fight it, if you don't change it, chances are somebody's going to come up with the same idea that you have. They might come in and do it, and they've just made the decision for you, and it probably won't be to your advantage. Right? Marketplace in business is cutthroat. Pay attention to what's going on, but be that expert. That's a cool shot. Okay. We're going to touch a little bit on the branding of whatever your organization is, and more importantly, your personal brand. Okay? Do you know your brand? Have you Googled yourself? That's a pretty bold thing to do nowadays because you'd be surprised at what you can find. Do you like your brand? If you don't, what are you doing to fix that? There's things you can do. If you catch it late, those things become very expensive and or very, very difficult to do, to change something if it's now taken on a life of its own. Make sure it's accurate as well. If there's stuff out there on Google and Facebook that's okay, but it's not accurate, do what you can to change that. Send Facebook customer service a note, but you won't get an answer. And then as far as your brand, what are you doing to build it? How are you building that brand recognition? SUU Aviation has a team, like I said, that's led by Robbie, does a very good job of pushing our brand out there, making sure that it's recognized, and doing a really good job of promoting what we're doing and why we're doing it. Early on, that's probably going to be you, right? You're going to be the cheerleader, you're going to be marketing, you're going to be HR, you're going to be everything. but you've got to start somewhere and make sure you're building it and promoting it as best you can, okay? And then going forward, what are you doing to protect it? And the next slide, we'll talk about some other stuff, but protection becomes a full-time job. And I can't tell you how many times Robbie comes walking down the hall and says, we've got some other crazy person saying something. Okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? So, okay. Yeah. I was just going to put the devils up here, but that seemed a little rough. Great tools. Very, very good tools, if properly used. It's also the quickest way to failure. I'm going to kind of say something that goes counter to what I said earlier, but I've terminated individuals because of what they have posted on Facebook. Now, what they posted was illegal, so that's pretty easy for me to come in and say, look, this is a blatant FAA violation. You're no longer with us. You're now a risk. So be aware of what's going out there on Facebook, okay? And most importantly, if some knucklehead decides to start being mean to you or to your business, do not pick a fight on social media, and don't pick a fight with a crazy person. No matter what you say, you will lose. So it's almost better just to say, that's your opinion. Thanks for patronizing whatever I'm doing, and I'm done with you. And there's been several times when I wanted to poke somebody in the eye, and Robbie comes up and says, no, they're clearly crazy. Everybody on the social media platform understands that. We can't respond because now we're going to look crazy as well. So we let it go. I have two teenage boys. Both are, one's a freshman here at SUU, and the other is getting ready to be a freshman. This Snapchat thing, everybody likes it, right? Because it goes away. It goes away until somebody takes a screenshot of it. Once you put something out on social media, just assume it's there forever. And the problem is you have no control of where it's going. So use these as you need to, but be very, very careful with them. Really quick way to ruin a lot of work. Okay. All right. What percentage of new helicopter pilots in the U.S. come from SUU? 10%. Did you already know that? Yeah. Oh. All right. 10%. We have 10% of the rotor market in the country in little old southern Utah. 7 years ago, we didn't exist. And now we have 10% of the market. Like, holy crap. That's wild. Okay. Develop your personal mission statement and your elevator pitch. Both of those things should be something you do daily. Practice it, practice it, practice it. You should be fluent. So I don't have a personal mission statement anymore. I have one for the organization. And going down here to you never know when you're going to need it. So when I'm in Washington, and I do my best to schedule meetings with senators and congressional leaders, or these various committees. Sometimes their meeting availability does not meet with our schedule since we're there for such a limited amount of time. I've done almost as much work in the hallways walking around the Capitol as I have in offices. So Representative Dina Titus out of Vegas, great supporter of the program. It's weird. We have so much support outside of the state. It's really weird, just odd. But anyway, so I run into Dina Titus. I tried getting a meeting with her. It didn't line up with our time frame, so we were going to end up skipping her. And I've been working with Dina for 7 some odd years now. And I happened to run into her in the hall. She goes, Mike, what's going on? I said, oh my gosh, we tried getting a meeting, couldn't get it. But here's what we're working on. We're trying to change the Higher Education Act to allow aviation students to access higher master's and graduate level credits for an undergraduate degree. She says, oh my gosh, that is so cool. What else can you tell me? This is where we're at right now. This is the status of the legislation that we've written. We have Senator Inhofe and Senator Moran that have signed on to it. How can you help? Send me an email. Awesome. I couldn't even get in to see her. But in less than 30 seconds, I gave her that whole pitch, got an email, she signed on. Way awesome. Know what you're doing, know what you're selling. Okay, practice. All right. Again, be flexible, things are going to change. Plan for the contingencies. When contingencies come up in aviation, we call those weekdays. They're constant. Just randomly start strategizing about what can go wrong, because what can go wrong is going to go wrong. And then it's going to take time to pivot. If you are established in whatever you're doing, selling hamburgers, selling churros, consulting, whatever it is, it's going to take you some time to pivot on what your business looks like. So be prepared, okay? Go ahead. All right. My favorite thing in the world is to be told no, because I'm going to prove that person wrong. And I would challenge all of you to do the same thing, because you are going to hear no a lot. Is it at the end? Is it a wall or is it a door? And then where's that door going? And again, commit to yourself, because you're going to have people looking at you for help, for assistance. You're going to have that pressure of they've got families, right? And if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, they're not having food tonight, that kind of thing, right? You better make that decision. You're going to act. Commit to acting. Okay. I'm trying to hurry this up. Okay. These over here, you've heard these, right? Seek diversity in those areas. As a good human, you should do that anyway. What I would challenge you to do is to think outside the box on these things. If you can diversify your service, markets, customers, and thoughts, that is how you are going to be resistant to all of the craziness that's going to go on. Right? We started off as a helicopter flight program, 2013. We introduced fixed wing, 2014. We introduced maintenance 2 years ago, a year ago. We've got management degrees. And my friend Johnny O over here, we're working on an international cabin crew program for our partners out of Korea. Diversify your offerings. This is what's going to keep you alive. This is what's going to make people want to come to you. Be good humans. Don't be a jerk. This is still really irritating that we even have to talk about that stuff. So be good. Pay attention, okay? All right. So I'm not going to go to you two anymore. How many students are enrolled at SUU Aviation? Oh, you're correct. I should have said we're going to have Price is Right rules here, so closest without going over. So more than 400.
436.
That's oddly specific. Wrong. 450. Keep going. Ooh, that's getting close. Okay. 600 going once.
625.
You're good at playing Price is Right. 650. Boink. Right on the nose. Who thought that we had 650 students in aviation? That's wild. We had 30 in 2013. 30 students. Okay. All right. Eliminate fear in your organization and empower your employees. So this is does anybody know W. Edwards Deming? All right, me. That's a big deal. If you can eliminate fear, and there's no roadmap to doing that. This is just you working on it. Empower your folks. This will go crazy. If they're not worried about their job, they can get creative. Robbie was given complete reign over marketing, and it's blown up. Ryan was given reign over international and concurrent enrollment with the high schools. How many high schools do we have right now? 17 high schools for concurrent enrollment in aviation because the barriers were lifted. Okay? Eliminate that fear. And seek the contrary opinions. Because what you don't know, we're getting close. All right. Okay, I'm going to hurry. These are gold mines, okay? make sure everybody knows what they're doing and what they're working toward. You should be able to walk up to the person sweeping the floors and say, what do you do here? And I would expect somebody in our organization to say, I train pilots. Is he an instructor? No. But is what he does any less important than what any of you do? In the big picture, not really. Okay? So make sure everybody knows what they're working towards. That's right, keep going. Develop your network now. It'll help you. Okay? I'm trying to get through all the way to the end here. Okay, find a mentor. And another Deming philosophy is once you have become successful, you have a moral obligation to flip that back around and be a mentor for somebody that's trying to realize their dreams. Keep on. All right, how many folks work at SUU?
35.
Way off. Anything else? Not you. That's pretty close. 18? No, 120 is still the closest. Okay, one more.
150?
150, too much, you got it. 135. We have 135 people that work out at Aviation. 65 instructors, 30 mechanics, whole bunch of admin folks. It's crazy. And Robbie, how many folks do you have on your team?
16.
In aviation marketing, he's got 16 people. Okay. All right, we're going to zip through this stuff. What has SUU accomplished? Keep going. We got how much time, Tyler? 5 minutes? All right. We're innovative. We're activists. 10% of all new helicopter certs. Worldwide partnerships. We have 48 states and 3 countries represented within our student body. Okay? That's our sheriff's helicopter right there. This is what we've done from a partnership standpoint. Pretty crazy. This one, I spoke to President Wyatt about 2 weeks ago. Africa. How crazy is that? What an awesome group of folks who are looking for training and looking to expand their transportation abilities. Okay? Here's our timeline. And this is when we're talking about entrepreneurial stuff. I really want to get to the Chuck Aaron stuff. So keep going. Federal legislation. We have written 2 pieces of legislation that are now law. Changed federal aviation regulations. And one of our biggest supporters right there, President Wyatt. Okay? Iron County Sheriff. We do a lot of stuff for them. You see us flying around. Pursuits. It's really cool to shoot the dog out the side of the helicopter at people. That's a lot of fun. Okay, keep going. All right, does anybody know who Chuck Aaron is? Non-aviation folks.
So he was the first pilot to learn how to flip barrel helicopter.
There you go. Developed it for Red Bull. Yeah, go ahead and hit the next and then hit it twice. So this is Chuck Aaron right here. Yeah, look at this stupid ad that comes up. Pretty crazy. In a helicopter. Red Bull paid him several $1 million to go and figure this out. How to do it. Okay, go ahead and forward it. We're not going to go through the whole thing. So there's Chuck Aaron. There's me. That's my solo. So did anybody know that we had, Sydney did, aerobatic helicopters at SUU? A couple of you did, right? All right, so you just saw Chuck. Okay, go to the next one. Hit it twice.
We're going to be over some amazing stuff.
I love the word amazing.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, this is such a pleasure.
And that's Chuck talking.
Day like today. This is what really makes flying fun, you know?
That's me. So from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I spoke to Chuck 2 years ago. Chuck's 72. He was looking for somewhere to give his legacy, to leave his legacy. And in talking with him, he came out for a visit, and for those of you that attended his Apex speech a little while ago, after he left, he said, look, I've never been to a program that I'd ever considered turning this over to until I came to SUU. And we took it and ran with it. So 2 of us are trained in helicopter aerobatics right now. And Ryan and Robbie are the next 2 to be trained in this. Of course, we have to have the big SUU on the belly, right? Robbie was flying that other helicopter right there as we were doing this stuff. All right, go ahead and fast forward it. All right, so what we've done is we've taken a little nugget, the Chuck Aaron Advanced Flight Academy, which we came up with. Our customers, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Marine Corps, Army, DoD contractors, EMS operators and utility. We have the military coming to SUU to figure out how to fly advanced tactical flight maneuvers. We are a collegiate flight program teaching the military something they can't do. Holy crap, how did that happen? I still don't know how it happened. So, but with this helicopter and with the training, here we are. We've brought something that nobody has in the world to southern Utah. Okay? And just these last 2. Who are you affiliated with, and what are these people, how does this reflect on you? And then the next one, when your customers talk to your contractors or other folks, what are your contractors going to say about you? This is powerful stuff right back here. You'll lose business if these are bad relationships, and you won't even know it. Okay? How many flight hours does SUU fly annually?
45,000.
Ooh, that's close.
54.
Wrong way. Price is Right rules.
So 48,000?
No, lower than that. 35,000. Did you get that? So it pays to be in the front row. Okay. Purchase price of a Cirrus SR20. Throw it out. Million. Not quite. 85,000. No. You're just winning because you're just out here throwing numbers. Okay. No, I'll give it to you. So we're 500,000 for an SR20. Okay. Next one. Purchase price of an Robinson R44, and we have 22 of these. Or is it 22? 8. Oh, day of the week. All right, we have a lot of these. Somebody in the back row, how much? This is for goods and services up here.
200,000.
Way higher.
600,000.
600. Bam, 600,000. More than $500,000 for that. Okay? Our sheriff's helicopter right here. Purchase price of Bell 407.
1.2.
Keep going.
1.6.
Well, that's what we paid for it. You said 4? Oh.
With or without the FLIR?
Well, without.
That's a good question.
Without. It rhymes with tree. 3 million. All right, what do we got left here? All right, so our aerobatic helicopter, the MBB BO-105. So this is for us. I'll give a sweatshirt for this one.
Chuck?
No, you guys.
4 mil?
What does the MBB stand for? Does anybody know?
Is it there?
I don't know what it stands for, but was it developed by the Germans?
It was. This was the German version of the Apache helicopter. And it is overbuilt like you would not even believe. And for those World War II historians in here, MBB stands for Messerschmitt. Anybody remember the Messerschmitt airplanes from World War II? Bokel Blohm is the MBB, so it's a German company. It's now owned by Airbus, but I always love looking at the side of it. There's a plate on the side that says Messerschmitt. It's pretty cool. Okay, We've got swag up here. Those that answered a correct question, come up and grab some stuff. And we've got everything from hats to lanyards to shirts. We've even got some really cool USBs that look like our red helicopter. Flash drives. Thank you so much for your time.